Got it.
Hi. Hi. So welcome. This is amazing to speak with you. And that sounds like you have an incredible project coming out. And I can't wait to hear all about it.
Which project? There's so many of them.
There are the one with Breaking Benjamin, all that. Yeah, that
Oh yeah.
music. Yes.
Yeah, that actually already is out.
Okay.
And
Okay.
that we put out in August, and we went to number one. It took us 6 months of incredibly hard radio promotion work to get it there. And it went to number one the Super Bowl that weekend, I remember, because I was at the Super Bowl and trying to juggle a bunch of things at once because I'm an Eagles fan. So
Nice.
yeah, so my team lost, but we won on the radio promotion field. so so yeah, so that was a pretty big win for us, you know.
Yeah. And hi, Neil.
It's almost there.
Yes.
Gotta turn your mic on.
There we
There you
go.
go.
Hi, how are you?
Yes. Hey, good. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Yeah, so Howard was telling me about your big Breaking Benjamin project that happened during the Super Bowl. I want to hear your thoughts on it.
Well, it was a really special moment. It's been, Breaking Benjamin. I've known Ben since the early 2000s. 3 Days Grace and Breaking Benjamin famously toured, like, I think we were like attached at the hip for a while there when we were first coming out. And so we got a great history with them. And I've been a fan of Starset for a very long time and have got to know Dustin quite well, and Joe, who was Joe Rickard, who's been involved in their career as producer and developer and things like that. And I just it was amazing to be on the other side of it, and kind of being on the label side of it and see the inner workings of how a hit kind of needs to catch fire and how all hands need to be on deck to really push it through the goal line, and you realize I don't really believe in happy accidents in the music industry. Sometimes in the studio you capture lightning in a bottle, but 9 times out of 10 it's all just hard work and being in the trenches together and kind of an all for one attitude. So that was that we manifested that and had a great result.
Yeah, and what would you say was the biggest challenge about making all this happen?
You really want to know?
Yes.
Trying to herd the cats. There were just a lot of cats, and I know you have a cat in the background. That's why I'm using
Yes,
the
I
analogy.
do.
But it was just a lot of people with a lot of conflicting agendas and timelines and needs and desires. And Grady, who works with us, really did a good job doing that. He was pretty much on the phone all the time. I mean, in some ways, Neil and I, we almost had to stay out of it a little bit, just so it wasn't perceived that we were trying to manipulate things too much. Mm-hmm. And we have a guy named Matthew, who's our Yoda, and it was really good to have him. You just find in any process, when you have a group of people, you have to go through this storming period, and that's what we had to go through till we could get to the performing period. And so when we got to that point, we're still in it, by the way, we still have to get our video finished. But yeah, just a lot of chaos, basically.
Neil, you want to add anything?
No. I mean, yeah, it was a great result. Yeah, it was fantastic, and we're gonna do it all over again. A lot of time the song has to be great. So again,
yeah,
it starts with the music, and the song had to be great. And it kind of even 3 Days Grace was out on the road when we were just setting this song up. So I and 3 Days Grace had a song out as well, and a new record out. So I was actually hanging out with a lot of the program directors from all the major rock stations in the US, right? So because I know a lot of them just because I've been doing it for a minute. And so I ended up backstage. These guys would end up backstage. Sometimes the program director will announce the show on the stage and or have a meet and greet, and so I a lot of the time these guys are back in the dressing room, we're having a beer or a coffee or whatever, and we have a pretty sweet sound system in there. So several times on the road I said to the major program directors, hey, do you want to check out this thing that I'm working on, Starset Breaking Ben? And so I was able to give a lot of those guys a sneak preview too. I think that was kind of nice. I was lucky to be out in the field, being able to kind of sit down
and really
and
helped
share
a lot.
the music, which is the right way to do it. And you didn't feel like you're forcing the hand or whatever. You just play the song and the music speaks for itself.
It's incredible.
And
So
it's
go
a
ahead,
radio
Henry.
game. It's a radio promotion game too that Neil and I have only watched from afar because we never have to get into the trenches. But watching it happen in real time, like being down on the field while the plays are being called, it's a whole different reality of what's going on. It's so yeah, we had to get used to that a little bit.
Nice. So tell me about this video. It sounds like it's going to be quite an exciting project.
Well, if it ever gets done, yeah. It's a, I think we would have been happy with a very quick performance video. This is a video that if you ever watched the show The Last of Us,
Yes.
well, that's the video. That's a 3-minute version of that video, pretty much, So we're kind of like on the zeitgeist a little bit.
But we
that.
weren't. Hey, there were any similarities is completely coincidental. All rights reserved.
Right.
Whatever legal language insert now.
All the
Yeah.
legal language.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it'd be really interesting to to see what's next for Starset and for Ben after that, because yeah, it's a lot of momentum for them and for us as well as judge and jury. We've got lots of momentum. A lot of people kind of saw that, and lots of bands reaching out wanting to work with us. It kind of just has a snowball effect, and we're kind of ready to take it to the next level.
Nice. Now, how did you two start working together?
Well, it was through 3 Days Grace. Howard produced our second album, 1X, which which really changed our lives, changed my life. Howard was like the big guy in town at that time, and still today. We're talking 20 years ago, and we went and we recorded that album, and it was a moment in time. We had 3 of our biggest songs for #1 hits off of that record, and found ourselves in every arena across the world, and so that was that all happened. It was a very whirlwind time in my life, and it was a special album. Howard subsequently produced the next record, Life Starts Now, and we just built a great working relationship. And fast forward, a decade or so, Howard was producing some things and I was producing some things. We decided to co-produce a couple projects together and see how that felt. And when it went well, we felt like we had assembled quite a team and discussed a production team where we would co-produce artists and help develop them and things. And that kind of morphed into a full-fledged record label. But it's a record label that's based on production, and production is based upon music, and music is based upon the song. So our label is based upon the song.
I love that. That's amazing. And what would be your dream project for the two of you to work on together? I mean, I know you do a lot with the music industry, but what would be your dream music project to work on together?
Good or bad dream?
The biggest, best dream you could have. Like,
well, in
no
fact,
holds barred.
actually, we're kind of working on something now that's like freeing and experimental, and it's basically a judge and jury standalone body of work that's gonna it'll have several features and maybe lots of collaborations and fun on it, but it may be quite experimental at times, because why not? Howard's a super proficient keyboard player as well, but he's the type of guy that can play the keyboard and then disassemble it and reassemble it right down to every resistor. And we're influenced by some of the classic stuff too, like Deep Purple and Doors and all that kind of fun organ stuff. So we're gonna focus on that for a minute, and we're super excited about it because we were early to the crack at creating an artist page for judge and jury. It's sort of producer / artists, and pop and hip hop producers have been doing that for years. I mean, look at Diplo, look at Timberland, where you're kind of the producer, but you're kind of the artist, and you're singing sometimes and you're playing sometimes, and that. So Howard and I decided to create a Spotify profile page, because we're featuring on all of the stuff, a lot of the material that we're releasing as well, because we're playing on it and such. And that Spotify page has 800,000 monthly listeners now. So when we do drop a Judge and Jury song, we have access to all of these built-in audiences, from our artist Jonathan Young to Starset fans to Breaking Benjamin fans. So we're kind of building this eclectic sort of place that you can go and just sort of listen to our musical brains, if you will, in lots of different genres and manifesting in lots of different ways.
That's amazing. Anything you want to add, Howard?
Yeah, my favorite part of that is taking apart the organs and putting them back together.
Yeah, not like Jeffrey Dahmer style though. Like not like
No. I collect a lot of '60s transistor organs from the early days of rock. It's just a hobby of mine, and so I own a lot of Vox Continentals and things like that are Doors and Beatles records, and so we throw them on a lot of. In fact, on the Diamante record, it's featured on a lot of that stuff, and it's featured on a lot of the stuff we do. But you wouldn't hear it necessarily, but it's in there, So, I don't know. It's kind of fun for me. So, but that's just like a hobby that we could turn into a record by using that stuff on the music we're going to do. The cool thing about the Judge and Jury thing is that we're still going to make records with our artists, but it keeps building our fan page up. So we figured we'll just put some out. Neil's going to sing. Neil's a great singer. So he's, or we'll get other features to sing with us. It's going to be like whatever it is at the time, at the moment. So, and so many people want to work with us. So it's not that hard to do for us.
Wow. Now, how did Judge and Jury come to be? How did you get your start with that?
Well, it was really because I think we worked on Diamante together, that an artist, it was on 11/7. And Neil and I just decided to sign her to a small production deal, and we did it, and we ended up making money on it. And it was like, okay, well, we have a social media person, we have our studio. Neil wrote most of the songs with her. And it turned into, like we saw, okay, if we do this model and just expand it, little did we know it was going to turn into what it has, which kind of happened. But yeah, it just started from very small things like that, which I think most companies start like that,
You want to add anything about that, Neil?
Yeah, I mean, it's cool how it's a fledgling it's a fledgling company, but it's blossomed pretty quickly. We have a staff of about 10 people now.
Yeah.
Ranging from interns to very seasoned veterans that are, because it's, there are a lot of facets and a lot of plates to spin to really cover everything from production to marketing and making sure that the artist is in a good headspace. And that's a big part of it too. I think Howard and I are a good yin and yang in a way. And I think Judge and Jury kind of the name actually, if that's what you're asking about, how do we come up with the name, as well as I think that's reflective of how we have sort of contrasting personalities, but it comes in really handy because sometimes I can really kind of be on the level with the artist in a way, because I've lived it and I've seen it firsthand, and I've been on the artist end of a lot of record deals and all kinds of different deals that I have to really like look through, and I've seen a lot of legal language, and I've learned the hard way too when I haven't been thorough with stuff like that. So I think I have an element of trust with the artist, that they realize that I'm one too, and then so Howard doesn't seem like such a big bad wolf all the time. No, but and so I think that's really, and then Howard and I think we're not afraid to criticize each other creatively, because we trust that if I say, Howard, that idea is whack, I'm not saying he's whack. I'm just saying let's try to experiment. And if Howard says to me, hey, that thing that you're working on right now, man, it's not happening, I actually he's doing me a favor, because then I can pivot and because sometimes I can't see the forest for the trees, or take the brush off the canvas, and sometimes you need that person with another perspective to go, hey, just leave it, don't muck with that, it's done, it's great, let's move on, right? Stuff like that.
That's incredible. You guys are so amazing. I'm loving listening to all of this. You guys should be very proud of all you've accomplished so far.
Yeah,
and I can see bigger things in the future for both of you.
We hope so. It's definitely a challenge doing this. It's something Neil and I never envisioned almost 2.5 years ago. We've had to learn a new business that's evolving quickly. Um, every day we are encountering, like I remember when we first started this business, there was no TikTok. And then all of a sudden we had to deal with TikTok. And then we have to really deal with TikTok. And then, we might not have to deal with TikTok tomorrow. Like, we don't know what's going to happen. Like, everything changes so quickly. And we're lucky to have Grady and for the royalty stuff, like we are, and the deal making. Like, there's all these intricacies. When people say, oh, I'm going to start a record company, have at it. Good luck. Like honestly, I spend half my time on Quicken trying to do the books and the taxes. Like you can't just start a business. Like it's complicated. You got to have accountants and some lawyers, and it's the boring part that people can't get past. So it's nice to get to make the music. When you can put that aside and just worry about the recording parts.
Absolutely. It's just amazing. Now you both work in the music business. Who's your dream artist to collaborate with? You could collaborate with anybody in the world. Who would you want to work with and why?
What's interesting? We get asked that question from every single interview I've ever done, and I have no answer for you because I think it just changes. If I really could tell you, I would have loved to have worked with the Doors. I would have loved to have worked with Morrison, because there are certain singers out there, when you listen to them, they're not trained.
Yeah.
And you just know there's nothing that they studied, but they're just natural. And those are the people I'd like to work with. Like the people who Chris Cornell, who I produced, was one of those singers. He was a natural, like he got up in front of the mic, and it was, Chester Bennington was another one. I like artists like that because they're sort of unpredictable, and it could be a handful. But I always got sort of my start listening to the Doors because I thought he was writing stuff that was it was pop, but it was dark pop. It had an underlying message of sadness and evilness and violence that in our world really works. With a lot of the lyrics that we try to get across is getting people to relate to things like that, or finding a safe space to feel those feelings, So, yeah, I don't know about Neil. Maybe I was a big fan of the Guess Who, by the way. Neil actually played with the Guess Who, which I actually really am envious of that, because I grew up listening to Randy Bachman and those guys.
Yeah, and I screwed up. There was like a big stop at the end of No Time, and I screwed it up. And Randy Bachman looked back at me, and I'll forever feel those eyes, those disapproving eyes upon me.
These eyes, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, those eyes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm a huge fan of Tool, and like every guy in Tool is just. I've always been a massive fan of their records, and each of them individually as musicians. And Maynard is my favorite singer. I loved Perfect Circle. I'm a bit fan of Pussifer stuff. Yeah, so pretty interesting band, really interesting guy. Maynard is. He's a winery. He has black belt in jiu-jitsu. He has Tool, Perfect Circle, Pussifer. Very really people like that are like, wow, when do you sleep?
Yeah, they're the true artists out there, the ones that are you can't imagine them doing anything else in their lives but that.
Absolutely. And you said, Howard, that you're working on tons of other projects. Do you have any that you could tell us about yet that are ready to be talked about? Because I'm excited to hear.
I'm doing another In Flames record in a month, which is crazy already. Just an EP. We got Ray Garrison in the studio we just signed, with a band called Silos. We have Heirloom we just in the middle of doing right now, which is another band that we signed. Neil is helping out in pre-production with all these bands, though, with the songwriting and sort of getting them to a certain point where I sort of take them over. So there's like a really good, not every band is a bit different, like it depends on the personalities of who's there. There's just a lot going on. There's always something to do, there's always some project where I turn on my computer. I'm like, oh my God, I forgot about it. Oh, like we have Lacey Sturm from Flyleaf is singing with Caleb Hiles, one of our artists. So we have to get that done. So we have, it's a never ending stream of stuff.
Yeah.
And Neil's got stuff going on with 3 Days Grace he's working on, and stuff with us, and it's all messy. It's good messy, so.
All right, Neil, tell us what you're working on.
Well, I'm working on packing my luggage, and I've been on the Stairmaster because 3 Days Grace starts up with Shinedown next week. So, got to get in fighting shape for the tour, and I'm looking forward to it. Got to pack my golf clubs, get on the bus next week. But before then, I'm heading to Los Angeles in 48 hours to go to the iHeart Music Awards. 3 Days Grace is up for 2 awards this year: Artist of the Year and Rock Artist of the Year, and Rock Song of the Year. So excited about that. And got to take my library books back. About it.
And I'm headed to Anguilla on Saturday
Ooh.
for 10 days. So we're both. I think we both need a little break, to be honest. The Star Set Breaking Benjamin thing was like like the Super Bowl almost for us. So,
Absolutely. What are you most looking forward to seeing on this tour?
What city?
Yeah, what city?
Oh, well, we actually have a few days off right at Yellowstone National Park. So I've rented a motorcycle, and I'm planning to grab a backpack and a helmet, and I'm gonna ride Yellowstone. And we've got like one show in 5 days around that area because we play, we have to get from Minneapolis to there and then from there to Washington, but I just opted to fly. So so I'm just gonna do a few days in Yellowstone with a backpack and stay at proper bed and breakfast for a few days. I'm looking forward to that. With a rock show in between.
Yes.
A big rock show. Yeah, that I can ride. I've never ridden a motorcycle to the rock show and then ride out. I mean, that's pretty cool.
That is like the epic moment that I think every rock star dreams of.
Yes. Yeah.
Neil wants to be easy rider for a few days. Basically.
Okay, I like it.
Actually, the place I'm renting the bike from is called Easy Rider.
Oh, that's funny. Wow.
Okay, that's a sign it's all gonna happen.
Hey, I actually have to go right now. Is it okay with you?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. I was
Yeah.
actually gonna wrap it up anyway. I wanted just to say thank you. I appreciate you. You're both amazing, and I can't wait to talk again soon.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for having us.
Of
We
course,
appreciate
you're
it.
always welcome. Thanks,
Okay.
guys.
Bye now.
Okay, bye.
Bye.